up is the date of the video. Since I know it was in
Look on
August,
IMDb and see if they have it.
it's on the stream song. Hello, this is Daniel Veillon with the Daniel Veillon Gazette podcast. Not myself, but all of us who love to do podcasting, the chance to do our videos and our video podcast here on YouTube. And this whole episode, as I announced last night on a short, this whole episode is centered around what my plans are for my podcast going forward. Because I had tested, I tested out an idea I had for my podcast. Then about 2 days ago, I realized I didn't go far enough in the history to start. So I'm gonna have to start in October of this year. I'm gonna start talking about the current WWE product, and if when I find the right content for this month from the past, I'll talk about that. Okay. Now, we never hear anybody talk about this, so I'm hoping it's not taboo to mention this. But because this is because we can make money off of our videos with usually by advertisement. That's usually how we actually get people to subscribe to us from the get-go. That's usually why if we do live streaming on here, it's only for 15 seconds or more until we get 1,000 subscribers. So I done some research yesterday morning, before I went before before I left the house to go to a couple of places, and I discovered that here on YouTube you can demonetize the videos you don't want to make money off of. And if you're like me, where you feel the need to put copyrighted content, you can do it on the videos that you don't want to make money off of. So, if I was to make a point, I would point out how my initial or original YouTube channel, the the Daniel Veillon Show, or should I say Sports and Wrestling Talk Show, um, that that video had, I'm not sure how many copyright strikes on it, which I was surprised I didn't get suspended, but thank you very much that I didn't get suspended for that. Thank you to YouTube that I still have an account after that. However, because of that experience, I know now that if I want to do anything like that, I got to do two things. Either I have got to do that in short videos, or I need to put myself in the video. And because I'm not exactly an expert on this stuff, I just thought I would come on here and let y'all know my plans. Now, my plans are to do like I did before with the Wrestling World as I See It podcast, where I talk about shows, I talk about those classic shows, but instead of putting the copyrighted videos on there, I'll show myself talking about them, and I'll demonetize copyrighted content, and I'll put that in a separate podcast like I wanted to do for my extra videos. And I'm letting y'all know that because I know that if we don't put out enough video or enough content, people can unsubscribe. So that's why I came on here today. I want y'all to know that I'm gonna continue to do my podcast, but to be new and to be different, I may take me a little longer to get started. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna talk about Monday Night Raw from this past Monday, but I'm gonna start off by talking about the Friday Night SmackDown telecast that I read about. And I just want to talk about the opening promo between Heyman and Cody Rhodes, where Cody Rhodes asked him who he was talking to because even though he's not with Roman Reigns anymore, he did introduce Brock Lesnar in his match with John Cena in the beginning of WrestlePalooza the other night. So he asked him, am I talking to the advocate, the wise man, or the oracle? Naturally, Heyman in his arrogance said, you're talking to the greatest of all time, which he's not. And that's my opinion because, yes, it's important to be able to change nicknames and everything, but when you're yourself on TV, that's easy. When you have to when you have to do like Bobby Heenan or Jimmy Hart for that matter, you have to use your imagination instead of just being how you are in real life. That's what really takes talent. So that's why I wouldn't call Paul Heyman the greatest of all time because sure you hear talk about all the men he carried or all the men he spoke to, and he was able to manage 5 different world champions, but that's only one title. And even though it's the top title, I would rather have a legacy like Bobby Heenan or Jimmy Hart, where he managed the tag team champions, the mid-card champions, and the heavyweight title, and the heavyweight champions. Because if you manage all three, that just like having all three titles makes you the best, managing three different three title holders separately makes you the best too. So that's why when I think of the greatest of all time in managing, I think of Bobby Heenan or Jimmy Hart. I put them above Heyman because Heyman maybe only managed one or two mid-card champions. Bobby Heenan managed more than that when it comes to tag team champions and the mid-card. So that's how I look at it. The matches have been as far as work rate goes and executing maneuvers goes, the content on WWE has been excellent for the past few months. However, what I don't like is when like Dominic Mysterio, for instance, calls himself the greatest intercontinental champion of all time when Gunther lost the title last year, and he held the Intercontinental title longer than the greatest intercontinental champion in the history of the company. So what I don't like is people calling themselves the greatest of all time. They haven't done enough to even earn that moniker yet. Um, I like TNA and NXT's cross promotion, and I think it's interesting how after the female superstar in TNA that used to be known as Dana Brooke, when she had to give up the women's world title, not sure why. All of a sudden, a female wrestler or a female superstar from NXT came and won the title. And I thought that was interesting because I haven't heard of that since the territory days. People coming on the show because you have cross promotion and you win a title, but you belong to another. Today we call it a company, but in the old days was a territory. So that's why I like that. It reminds me of the territory days. I was watching baseball yesterday with the wild card. I don't know who won between Chicago Cubs and their opponent, but Chicago Cubs were doing really good in the beginning of their game. Um, Defense was great, and first game was the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians. Tigers did a great job of defending in their game, and they won with 2 runs. Now the Guardians, just like Chicago Cubs and their opponent, each wild card game they need to win 2 straight games to go to the next round of the playoffs. So I'm hoping the Yankees won their first game last night because that's the team I always go for is either the Yankees or the St. Louis Cardinals or the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm hoping that the Yankees won last night and that I hope they win the wild card series. Let me put it that way. However, I just look forward to the not wild, but the World Series playoffs because I've always liked baseball. No, fortunately for baseball fans, need to need to get a remote control and turn something off. I can turn something else on. Right. Unfortunately for baseball fans like myself, on the ESPN app, if you subscribe to the unlimited section of the app, you can watch replays of the baseball games, or you can watch the post game scrum. I think is what they call it today, media scrum. But when I was a kid, they still called it a press conference. So that's why I called media scrum today. They do have a wildcard hub for MLB. Okay, so it's the Los Angeles Padres, or it was like whatever Padres they are called. It's San Diego. That's what it is. San Diego Padres were going against the Chicago Cubs yesterday. Oh yeah, and the Red Sox were the Yankees opponents last night. Don't I don't know much about the Red Sox history except that they're in Boston, Massachusetts. And Yankees are in New York, and my uncle dad's brother. Always was a Yankees fan. I remember my dad went with my uncle once to see the Yankees game in the old Yankee Stadium before they tore it down, I think. Think they were rebuilding it, so they decided to go to the old stadium for the last game. So I was always interested. That's one of the reasons I was always interested in the history of the Yankees. And by the way, I found out about 2 or 3 years ago from an NFL book in the library where I live that the New York Yankees were a football team before they were a baseball team. And I always thought that was interesting. I always thought it was just a baseball team. I didn't know they were the Yankees before they were the Giants. Anyway, going back to this, guess I'm not. Oh, okay. So it's upcoming. It's not okay. Not on demand yet. At least not what I'm looking for, anyway. Hmm. Yeah, it looks like all these games are for today, which it's great to watch and it's fun to watch. But I'm curious about who won the other games. I think I'm to find. I just found out that the Ultimate Fighting Championship's latest pay-per-view gonna be this Saturday at 9 p.m. on ESPN pay-per-view. Means you have to pay, I think, $50 or more for it. It's not automatically on unlimited that I know of. So I'm hitting it. I don't know. See, they say get access. I don't know what that means. Yeah, you have to pay. Yeah, it's regular pay-per-view. You have to pay more for it. However, what I like about the UFC is that just like the wrestling shows you used to watch growing up, they have preliminary fights before the show gets started. Another thing I like about UFC is they have fight night, and that's usually something we can catch. So when they don't have pay-per-view, but they just have fight night, we can probably watch that on ESPN Unlimited. Hmm, okay. What's interesting about this is just like on just like on cable networks like Dish TV and DirecTV, they have multi views on ESPN too. Also, excuse me. I meant to say ESPN also. And like for instance, they're gonna show the it'll show Cleveland and Detroit against each other, and while they're showing that, they're gonna show San Diego and the Cubs play today at the same time. Later on, they're gonna show for you college football or college sports fans, we're gonna have a women's volleyball doubleheader. Number two ranked Texas Longhorns going against University of Georgia. It looks like UGA, and while they're going against each other, the number 25th ranked team, North Carolina, gonna go against Duke. And they even have a triple header on SEC Plus on the SEC Plus network. Gotta have Texas A&M against South Carolina also. There's gonna be a lot of fun stuff to watch if you like volleyball or if you like college sports. Thank you to the okay. Let me see what person's name is. If they haven't disclosed. But thank you to the one person I saw that was tuned in. Okay. Thank you. Hmm. You know, if I didn't need to save money, it may be a little not maybe, it would be a little easier to know how to talk about games, but right now all I can really do is say what I remember watching. I can't go in slow motion like could with Dish, so what I will say is I'm really happy I get to watch baseball, and I'm not really sure. I'm gonna go and film in shows so I can see if they have anything from yesterday. Hmm. They're documentaries, they have series, they have shows, they even have a browse, but I don't see. Um, Today is Wednesday, so they have baseball tonight. I can watch from last night. I may be able to find out the winner of the second game yesterday. But this is why I like looking on the ESPN app is it because they have people talking about the games. I get to see what I missed and I get to let y'all know my regular sports format here when I'm live. I get to let y'all know what they show and what they say. And yes, I am a pro wrestling fan first and foremost. But as I've gotten older as an adult, I've realized you need to expand your horizons. And I've always liked playing basketball and baseball, and I always liked watching the playoff tournament bracket in the NFL. So that's why, and I always liked watching. Oh, also said that. Forgot I said that for a second. Forgive me. Because of that, that's why I like to watch MLB and NBA and NHL because the tournament bracket is very standard. So I like watching brackets. Mm. Wow, and they talk about three American League wild card teams. Hmm. Oh, okay. So they just said right there, defending champions, the Dodgers. Let's see what they mean by that. They said that the defending champions, the Dodgers, host the Cincinnati Reds in Game One. That was 8 o'clock Eastern last, not 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern last night. So, um, either either they were defending the division title, or they were the World Series defending champions. So that I'm not really familiar with because last year I was going through a lot of things, so I didn't have the time to pay attention to the World Series like I liked. So I don't know who won last year's World Series because I couldn't pay attention to it. However, I'm very excited about every year when I see the playoffs, I get excited because I like to see who made it. And no, I don't know. No, if my favorite team does not make it, I'm not happy about it. But I do understand it's a sport, so that's gonna happen. But to say I had to get disappointed, yeah, I'm disappointed, but I do like to watch baseball because it's baseball, so I'm not gonna get upset about that. Because I try to be as simple as I can be. Now, let's see. There, they were interviewing Hunter Pence because I have closed captioning on here and I don't know how to take it off at the moment. I don't know all his stats they put up on the screen. Okay, he is a two-time World Series champion, and that would be an equivalent to the world heavyweight title in combat sports. So so he probably, if he accepted it, he probably would have had a WWE championship sent to him to honor him as a champion, as a World Series champion. Okay. And he's also four-time All-Star, and he played 14 seasons with San Francisco for Giants, Houston Astros, Philadelphia Phillies, and Texas Rangers, I believe. So that's interesting. Talking about the Red Sox right here against the Yankees. Right, this is interesting too. We got four men sitting down talking about the Reds and the Dodgers, and they're all picking who they think is going to win the game. Hmm. At that moment in time, the person they were talking to was decided to pick the Yank again. We're going decided to pick somebody called Hunter. No, it was Hunter. That's who it was. He picked Garrett Crochet or Crochet. Sorry, I didn't mean to profane. Just that's the only way I know how to pronounce that name if it's not Crochet. Against Max Fried. So obviously Garrett is the pitcher here. So every time they show him throw, and he's for Yankees by the way. So every time he throws, he strikes somebody out, it looks like. So obviously he's picking the Yankees pitcher right here. However, Max Fried led MLB in wins last year. 189 strikeouts. It's a lot. He's got a 19-5 record too. Not sure what that stands for, but K stands for strikeouts. So I know that's a lot. That's a lot. It's the kind of I know it could be more. I'm sure some people it is more, but I'm sure that is a big number if you're looking for a player in fantasy baseball. I'm sure 189 strikeouts is a lot, and it's probably what some people look for. The reason I move around like this is because I have some DVD covers, um, almost blocking yeah, it blocks the TV a little bit. So yeah, Garrett Crochet does look like he leads the entire league in strikeout. So, and he's starting for the first game. Started the first game last night for the Yankees. Next Friday started for the Red Sox. So those are two of the best pitchers in the league right now. So means that they gotta play really hard in their defense. Both teams do. So man, if you're a baseball fan, a true fan, and you're just hoping for a great game, they gave them a great game last night, most likely. So the third person they're speaking to said that for his pick, he's not going to talk about the Red Sox and the Yankees, but he decided to be different and talk about the Dodgers and the Red Sox. No, the Cincinnati Reds, excuse me. And he picks Hunter Green against the Dodgers lineup. Let's see how good Hunter Green has done this year. They even have they do have his video highlights, but I don't see. Okay, don't see any of his stats for this year. So they're showing the highlights, and it looks like he's been doing a really good job on it. Okay, now they have his highlights. He had 3 errors, 5 IP, and 3 strikeouts 2 months ago on the 25th of August. So that's interesting. Find out those things. ER, I believe, is either foul. It has to be foul because that's what they call it. Call a foul in baseball is an error. So I believe three next to ER stands for 3 fouls as well as 3 strikes. Mm. So this isn't what I was thinking, but I'm glad I looked at it still. So yeah, always forget that in baseball tonight, I think, always forget that that's usually a pregame. So that's when I'm making picks. Well, I forgot that it was a pregame show, so I have to not have to. So I need to look at the MLB website. All I really remember was the first game with with the with Cleveland and their opponent. And let me go to MLB.com because I'm positive yeah, I know I can remember the team's name if I look at yeah, Detroit. Detroit and Cleveland. Gonna be today at 12:08 Central. However, I need to look at the scores. Yeah, Detroit won by 2 runs and Cleveland had 1 run. Chicago Cubs, all right. Yeah, they won. They had, I think they had 2 runs in the first inning, and they scored another run before the before the game was over. They won 3 runs to San Diego's 1 run. Yeah, they scored 1 run. San Diego did in the second inning. It was in the fifth inning when Cubs scored two, and then scored another run in the eighth inning. However, Chicago Cubs had 6 hits and 3 runs. San Diego had 1 run before hits and no errors, whereas Cubs had 1 error yesterday. Let's see. And as far as the Yankees, well, Yankees lost 3 runs to 1. As a matter of fact, they scored 1 run in the second inning, and Boston Red Sox scored 2 runs in the seventh inning and 1 run in the last inning. So the good thing though about that is that the Yankees have 1 game to tie it. However, the one who had the highest scoring game are the Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. Dodgers won by 5 runs to Cincinnati's 5 runs. They had 10 runs to Cincinnati's 5 runs. And they had, okay, Cincinnati had 7 hits, 5 runs. The Dodgers had 15 hits and 10 runs. And Dodgers only had 1 strikeout, and earlier the Yankees had no strikeouts, neither did Boston, and Cincinnati didn't have any strikeouts either. Hmm. So far, only one team had a strikeout, the wild card so far, and that's the Dodgers. That's in their first game. Hold on. Yeah, the Dodgers. Didn't see any other games that were scheduled for yesterday. So yeah, all 3 games. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So yeah, all 4 games happened yesterday. Let's see what happens today. I mean, these games are only if necessary the third games. I was wondering if they had any other wild card games because This is all net. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are all the wild card games. So just realized they have American League and National League that need it. So that's good. Let's see. Friday has no games on Friday. However, the regular World Series games start with Toronto against the winner of the wild card game in the American League 4. Then in the National League, number 3 out of 6 face Philadelphia Phillies. Number 4 in the National League out of 5 go against Milwaukee. In American League 3, go winner of that series goes against the Seattle Mariners, I believe. Hmm. Okay. See anything else? Yeah, that's about it. Hockey just didn't. I don't think they started their regular season yet. However, preseason's been good from what I saw. And what I like about the NBA's new season is they're gonna air a lot on NBC this year. Matter of fact, they're gonna be on NBC from this point forward. They're gonna be able to leave ESPN, TNT, and NBC, or they're gonna leave TNT and go to NBC. So that's gonna be interesting. That is interesting to find out. And with Peacock streaming, if they have if they have Thursday games on NBC, like they may be able to see them on Peacock, so that's interesting. I don't know in the preseason. Okay, looks like the preseason for basketball starts tomorrow. The first preseason game on national TV is going to be on ESPN, and it's going to be this Sunday at 6:30 on ESPN. It's gonna be the legendary Los Angeles Lakers against the Golden State Warriors. I say legendary for the Lakers because I don't know how long Golden State have been around, but the Lakers have been around since really the beginning of the NBA franchise. And the first Peacock game, which is gonna be preseason, is gonna be the first preseason game on Peacock is gonna be the Bulls, another legendary team, Chicago Bulls against Cleveland Cavaliers. Really wanted to talk about. Okay, they have a lot more national games on preseason than I anticipated. Right here, not this Sunday, but the next, they're gonna have um, Cleveland Cavaliers go against Boston Celtics on ESPN at 5 o'clock, it looks like. That's gonna be good to see. I don't watch a lot of preseason games because I try not to get tired of it. But I've always enjoyed watching the NBA preseason and the NBA regular season games. And football being that it's not very often, I'm glad that I get to see sports because it gives me something to do. And it also gives me something to look forward to so that I can watch, so I can talk about it here on my podcast until I know what to talk about for uh for my archived content here in the month of October. Oh, as as most leagues do today, NBA TV has of a lot of games, preseason games on their premium channel, as well as the league pass they offer. Um, as far as I know, the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans, my home state team, they are the only team I know at the moment that has an actual premium channel just for the team. So when you see the preseason game between the Pelic put up here on the schedule, preseason between the Houston Rockets and the Pelicans for not this Tuesday but the next, they have Pelicans Plus highlighted. However, I know if you can don't know if you can go to it until you hit accept. Let's see. Does that even come up? Well, Peacock does come up, but don't see anything about the Pelicans. However, what I will say is about one thing that I was saying to myself about 2 years ago, I think, was that I had noticed how since the Netflix streaming service and WWE Network, the original streaming service, had went with streaming, I would notice how sports were starting to do that. So I started wondering, why don't teams do that for their fans? As far as I can see, the Pelicans, the first ones to do that. I think that's interesting. However, they do offer this preseason game between the Pelicans and the Grizzlies and all the other Pelican preseason games, it looks like. They do offer them on a on traditional TV too. On traditional TV stations also. Like this one on in 3 Wednesdays from today is offered for WVUE, GCSEN, and Pelicans Plus. Pelicans Plus, it looks like. Try to let it load. It's a little slow today. Hmm. And for people who like Amazon Prime. Not only do you have football on Prime, you're gonna start airing NBA on Prime too. Like potentially first game of the season for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers gonna air on Prime Video. Looking at all the scheduled games, and yes, Pelicans, all the Pelicans games this season are on Pelicans Plus. Let me see if they have a website for that. At least it looks like a plus. I don't. Yeah, watch.pelicans.com. That's what's gonna air Pelicans games this year. Hmm. So this Friday is the first preseason game. If I said that, I forgot I did. It's going to be against. I'm not sure what team they're going against. Melbourne United. So it's like a European. It's like a European game for your European tour. Hmm. All things considering, I'm glad glad I subscribed to two streaming services that air NBA because when I look at the entire the price for Pelicans Plus, I appreciate that they give a subscription to offer a subscription to the fans that work. However, if you're like me where you don't know what you can do for work, you're trying to find something you can do from home because you don't know what you can do. So paying the money I pay for ESPN and Peacock, excuse me, and Peacock TV, that I'm very thankful that I can pay those two premiums literally a lot cheaper than a whole season for Pelicans Plus because I can watch Pelicans. At least I could potentially see highlights of it on the NBA website. And I could potentially watch them on ESPN or something down the line. So I'm very thankful for that. Let me uh let me say this for something that I know is important here on YouTube. The way the way we, myself included, can get people to see our see our videos is by advertising. So I actually can pay $8. It's actually $8 cheaper here, 8 to $7 cheaper to advertise my videos here on YouTube in the starting price with their Google ads that they have set up for you to subscribe at any time. But it's $8 to do that than to subscribe for 1 month at Pelicans. So I just wanted to use that as an example of why paying Peacock and ESPN, even though ESPN Unlimited costs more than the monthly NBA NBA streaming for Pelicans, even though it costs more. It's that this is for everything ESPN has to offer. $15 or $14.99 a month for the Pelicans. It's just one team. That's why that's why I would rather pay what I'm paying now and watch NBA on ESPN for preseason. Just one thing I've learned about myself a long time ago is I'm interested in the whole league because I want to keep up with all of the games. I want to keep up with all their schedule. That way, that way to be a good sport about my favorite team potentially not going in the playoffs. Watching the other teams go to playoffs is how I like to watch it, just to keep just to keep from being a bad sport about it. Okay, that's all I want to say right now, and like I said, I'm gonna do my hardest to wait to make sure how I can demonetize my videos. So I'm gonna wait until I know it's the right time. However, because the only way to demonetize my videos is to have the kind of video, gonna have to upload one of my videos and put on hold before I schedule it. However, thank you to YouTube for always sending me an email letting me know when a video is being blocked. That way, it could help me understand why they can't be seen. So I hope by demonetizing those videos, you can help more people see my video that way. Thank you and goodbye.